Boyd, 940. That's pretty much on top of you right now. There's Boyd right there. Again, you're on the front edge of this line. The tornadic threat is not as high there. I don't think it's the wind threat. I think that the rotation was a little north of there. Falmouth, 944, so you've got just a few minutes. Bachelor's Rest, 950. Berlin, 954. Brooksville, 10 o'clock is the time we're watching for there, for the arrival of the part of the storm with either the gusty winds or rotation. Again, all of these areas in the path of the strong 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, but not everybody has that threat for seeing a tornado. That's just something that we're seeing mostly in the center part of this, but we could see more development. Remember, that's the case all up and down this line. So let's widen it out a little bit. Again, Berlin in there, Brooksville in there, in the path of that. Time to be in your shelter if you're in those locations for that potential for a tornado on top of 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And see, this is what I'm talking about. These are severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Cynthiana to Paris to Mount Sterling, Winchester, Sharpsburg as well, Flemingsburg, all part of that. So what does it tell us? It tells us the hail's not extremely large, maybe nickel size. The wind speed's around 60. That's the lower threshold there. But the tag tornado possible is there. For the same reason we have a tornado warning just north of here. Occasionally you're going to get some rotation along this line. We've been seeing a little bit of that showing up. So that's something we have to watch for. Still, pretty much all along this line, anybody who has a severe thunderstorm warning has that potential as well. So Lexington, you're almost in the clear. If you're on the east side of Lexington, it's still coming down pretty good. The strongest of the winds are starting to move out of the metro area there. Those are going to eventually end up around North Middletown and Winchester as well. You can see right here that front edge there. So again, Athens 943, Winchester 953, Grassy look about 10 o'clock. You can kind of see the general motion here. They're cruising to the east, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour winds. It's possible we had a few power outages in Lexington. We'll get some reports if we do get that. And remember, even if you don't have a tornado, you can get strong winds that can knock out power, take down a tree or a large tree branch right over a power line. So that's a possibility for us. And again, there are a lot of cities still in the front of this line. And if it's in front of the line where you don't want to be. Richmond right now, you still have to have this, you have to deal with this line still. It's going to be coming in shortly here. It's going to cross I-75 near Richmond, Paint Lick, and Conway here shortly. So Paint Lick, 9:45, that's just a couple of minutes from now. Richmond, 9:51, Berea, 9:53. So again, we're talking next 10 minutes here. Big Hill, 9:58, Clover Bottom, about 10:03. So along that line, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Still the potential that we end up seeing some rotation. And we don't get a lot of lead time with this line because it's moving at 55 miles per hour. So between radar scans, sometimes you'll start to see some rotation. It could sometimes develop 2-3 minutes. So you don't get a lot of lead time because they can almost drop on top of you sometimes. So again, Mount Vernon, part of this in front of this line, a couple more counties for you within this particular line of warnings. Estill, Jackson, we're talking Laurel, Powell, Pulaski, Rockcastle counties, all within this. Wind speeds estimated around 60 miles per hour. Lower end, maybe 50. That would be subsevere, but there will be some severe gusts within it. The hail is subsevere, which is typically around an inch, but it's a concern still. And there's still the potential that we see some rotation within some of these. Down the southern flank of this line probably doesn't look as impressive. I've noticed we've lost that tornado possible tag. That's good. Looks like that's staying more into the northern half of this line. So again, as we've been talking about, this whole line, it stretches from Covington to the south. Not severe Covington, but a strong storm. This is our tornado warning that's in place near Falmouth right now. This is including Bracken and Pendleton counties. This is moving east at 55 miles per hour. This is our front edge. It's crossing Highway 27, this area where we've seen possible rotation. And again, even if we don't have issues with the rotation, you're pretty much guaranteed to get 60 mile per hour gusts out of that system. And we do see that. It looks like south of Falmouth there, correct?
Yes, I would say right there. So
yeah.
Moving in this general direction,
yeah,
we'll put it in these locations. So
yeah, there we go. So, yeah, go ahead and handle those real quick. I'm going to grab a drink.
Okay, so 950 McKinnigsburg, 952 Browning Corner, Milford, Heads up 955, get in that safe place now. Where's your safe place? Lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, a great place to be. If you don't, you want to be in an interior room, a bathroom, a closet. Maybe put a pillow over your head, protect yourself, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You're not going to see this. It's going to likely be rain wrapped. It's going to be moving in very quickly at 50 to 60 miles per hour. So please don't try to look at this system. What you want to do is get in that interior room right now. So it's south of Falmouth, I think. It's along 27 where we're seeing this. McKinney'sburg, Browning Corner, Petra, Powersville, Milford, Brooksville. I would take cover in those locations. That's where we're seeing some of that rotation right now, right along 27, and that's going to continue to move eastbound towards Germantown over the next several minutes. So again, you want to take shelter immediately in these locations, because we are seeing that potential for a tornado here in those locations. Again, we have the tornado warning in effect, and that's going in effect until, 10:15 for Bracken and Pendleton County. Not too worried about hail, but again, you want to get in that safe place right now if you're watching in those counties. Again, we'll put a track on this. This thing is booking it eastbound at about 55 miles per hour. So Lennoxburg, about 3 minutes to go. You want to be in that safe place now. Brooksville, about 10 o'clock, about 14 minutes for you. You want to be in that safe place. Again, these things are moving very quickly. If we go southbound, again, we were watching this around Paris, some heavy rain, severe thunderstorm warning for these locations, Fayette County included, but that's starting to move east of you. Woodford County, again, moving east for you. Winds gusting around 70 miles per hour, but like we've been seeing, the potential for a brief spin up or a brief tornado that we have seen around the Louisville metro about an hour or so ago, confirmed tornado on the ground. So you want to take these seriously, even if it's not a tornado. We're talking winds maybe 70 miles per hour, causing some serious damage, even if we're not going to see a tornado. So Richmond, about 5-10 minutes. This is going to be crossing Interstate 75. So Berea, you want to be in your safe place. Some heavy, heavy rain and winds gusting 50 to 70 miles per hour. Again, Richmond as well. This moving into Winchester in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and eventually Mount Sterling. So all of you, if you're watching in these locations, you want to be in that interior room, because where you see these little kinks in the radar, that's where we have that potential for some rotation, again, that can quickly spin up even between scans on the radar. So they could be about a minute or so quick, and there you go. We don't even have a tornado warning. So that's why we have that tornado warning possible tag with most of these severe thunderstorm warnings. So once again, we have that tornado warning issued for Bracken, also Pendleton County, for another several minutes until 10:15. We'll put one more track on it for you to give you a heads up. You want to be in your safe place, that lowest level of your home. So Browning Corner, right now, it's on top of you. 9:53, Berlin. That's on top of you then. And then Bridgeville, or just after 10 o'clock, you want to be in your safe place. Again, you do not want to see, go out and see if this thing is heading your way, because it's going to be rain wrapped. It's dark, of course. You're not going to see the system coming. Wes?
All right, thanks, Alan. So going back to the wider perspective here as we switch over to Weather 1 again. And you can see that this is our main line here, still we're watching. As Alan pointed out, we've got a lot of warnings along it. I just wanted to show you that wider perspective. It looks like you may have lucked out the Covington area. The storms are moving through. They've been strong, but they have not been severe for the most part, closer to the river. A little farther south, they were pretty strong moving through Lexington. They've cleared Lexington. And I have it on all sweeping right now, Alan, so you may want to go back to the single radar as we go in. But again, let's kind of work our way down this line. And again, you'll notice the areas we were looking at. Again, Covington almost in the clear. Still some strong storms in the eastern part, but they are not severe. South of Foster is where we find that tornado warning in place. That includes areas like Brooksville. Right along this front edge of this line, we're seeing the very strong winds and the possible rotation as well. So that It's just the only tornado warning that we have at this point, but as Alan pointed out, it's still possible we get more along this line, especially when we see a lot of these kinks showing up in little protrusions where we get these strong wind gusts. And you can see those east of Cynthiana. We talked about Cynthiana getting a strong wind gust a while ago. Well, guess what? The strongest of the storm is pushing off to your east. Things are going to start to quiet down in a hurry there right now. Paris, you're still getting it real good, but it's about to move out. We need to watch this area there too, where it's sometimes we see these little kinks where we get a little bit of rotation taking place, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that there right now. So that area will be moving quickly to the east. That's kind of come together over the last few minutes, and you can start to see that when we're looking at the radar reflectivity. It'll start to bow out a little bit. So Bunker Hill, Sharpsburg in the path of that area. Remember, the guarantee you get with this line, 60-plus mile-per-hour winds. The possibility you get is the tornado threat as well. So, yes, some rotation there. Let's go back over to reflectivity on that one. Again, we can see that. We'll have to come back and check in on that one southeast of Paris right now. Let's go down south. There's Lexington. Again, it's starting to clear. You're going to be able to go to sleep peacefully. As this departs, you're going to see much quieter weather. You may still hear a few rumbles of thunder tonight. You'll definitely hear some rain still. But the worst or biggest concern with this line is definitely on the eastern extent of this one at this point, along the front edge of this line particularly. So 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts continue to be possible. Winchester, those are heading for you in a hurry here in the next few minutes. Eventually they're going to get into Mount Sterling. That's kind of an early heads up for you. And you can see the watch, or the warning I should say, actually stretches over to Jeffersonville, Stanton. So you can see some of the areas here, Winchester, Bloomingdale. Eventually you're going to see that. Here's the time we're looking at, 10 o'clock, that's 9 minutes from now. Agawam, and then Mount Sterling, 10:05, Clay City, 10:11. Is the time we're looking at. So along this line, as I keep mentioning, you're almost guaranteed to have 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. They could go as high as 70, and you could also end up with a tornado. You're not under a tornado warning at this point, but most of these have had the tag that say tornado possible because that rotation does occasionally show up within this line. So going a little farther south here, there's Richmond right there. Again, you're still getting the stronger part of the storm. It's starting to bump into I-75 near Berea as well. That's going to quickly push east. Once it does, you'll be done. But right now, you're getting some of those stronger wind gusts approaching 60, maybe more miles per hour. And so, again, eventually that ends up in Irvine. As it moves off to the east, there closer to Highway 89. Down towards Conway, you've got a couple of minutes before the strongest winds move in, and then down into Mount Vernon as well. Eventually, that storm's going to move in. But it doesn't look quite as intense down there right now. But we'll have to watch some of these cells. The one moving out of Somerset, we'll have to keep an eye on as well, because that's going to end up moving towards the Livingston area. And then we get in towards Corbin, down to all the way down to the state line there, and there's London as well. You're not seeing it yet, but you still get the storms coming through here shortly. So London, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, but the storm is still a ways off to your west, so you're going to be one of the later ones to see it, probably about 15, 20 minutes from now. So back up to the north we go, and again, Lexington in the clear. Cynthiana looks like you're clearing out. We still have our tornado warning here. This is the one from near Falmouth back towards Brooksville, includes Bracken and Pendleton counties for that rotation that we had seen earlier. Let's check out the latest velocity on that, Alan, and see what it looks like. And then we could back it up and see, well, we're still seeing some there. And as you can see, like, we'll back it up and then move it in. You can see the area that we're watching, that it was kind of coming in there and then ends up right there. So this is southwest of Brooksville right now, the area we're watching there with that rotation. And it's moving quickly, about 55 miles per hour. So it's been persistent. It's been rotating for a while, so it may be able to hold together for a while. Petra, 9:56. Brooksville, 10:01. 10:06, Germantown. Fernleaf, about 10:09 is the time that we're looking at there with the rotating part of the storm. Remember, let's flip back over to reflectivity real quick here, Alan. And anywhere along this storm, you're going to get the strong winds. So even if you're not seeing the rotation, you're definitely going to see the strong winds at some point. Let's go back down to the south. Let's revisit that area we were seeing with that notch. There it is. That's still there. Let's go back into closer to that one. Again, we were seeing some rotation right here. Let's check out the latest velocity. We're still seeing some there. We could see that with that notch with the that look at the reflectivity. You could almost see it even better. But either way, That's a concerning area as well. Heading towards Little Rock, 9:57. That's just minutes from now. East Union, 10:02. Sharpsburg, 10:04. Bethel, 10:08 is the time frame to watch for there with this particular cell. So this has been an interesting setup for us today, watching this line move through. We've been pretty much seeing 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Occasionally we're getting these little protrusions and little inflow notches along these storms where we start to get some rotation. Sometimes it holds together, sometimes it drops a tornado. We've seen that. This one, we're not looking at that yet, but it's possible we end up with an extended warning. Remember, these have the tag severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. So that kind of covers that possibility as well. There's the tag right there. This is for Bath, Estill, Fleming, Montgomery, and Powell counties. 60 mile per hour wind gusts, nickel-size hail or so, and then tornado possible. And again, for this reason, that was not rotating like that 10 minutes ago, but these do tend to do that in this environment. We have the correct wind, the proper winds to do just that. So that's why we keep seeing these along this line, and you keep seeing these tags tornado possible, even if you do not have a tornado warning, because they pop up out of nowhere, and they want people to be on guard and ready for this, just in case one of these does pop out of nowhere. And so that's why we continue to watch these little areas. So along the whole line, they're all severe. Remember, all of this represents a severe thunderstorm warning. Winchester to Richmond. Now remember, once this line moves through, then it's going to get a little quieter. For instance, what you're seeing in Fayette County. It's on the eastern edge of Fayette County now. Lexington, I think you're starting to become in the clear. Most of the heavy stuff is moving off to your east. You're going to be able to sleep peacefully later tonight as this continues to rush off to the east.
Wes, I believe we have a new tornado warning.
So they're extending that same one, huh? This is that persistent storm we've been watching. So remember, it included Bracken County. Now we're including Brown, Claremont, and Mason counties as well with the eastern extent of this particular warning.
Yeah,
So
I believe Brown and Claremont are in Ohio, so Bracken and Mason counties.
Oh, yeah, we are bumping into the state line already, aren't we? Goodness.
So it's moving east at 60 miles per hour, and it was located near Brooksville. Again, radar indicated rotation with this.
Okay, and so yeah, we've been seeing that. We're still, and remember, we're not seeing a completely smooth setup here. Let's go over to velocity again. Hopefully, we're in a good spot with the radar segment, or from where we're at there. Oh, with the one we were looking at earlier, let's back that up a little bit. We should be able to see it better in motion as it was coming through. Yeah, that was the one we were looking at. That was, yeah, there it was right there. That was southwest of Brooksville. I assume that was the one we were looking at there. So they're going to continue that one as that continues to move to the east. Petra, Powersville, Brooksville, Germantown, Fernleaf, all in the path of that. Looking ahead here, that's certainly something to watch for there. So that's just one of many areas along this line where we have seen rotation today. That one's been pretty persistent. We've seen this storm continually get warned as it goes east, and right now it's including Bracken and Brown counties, and it does eventually end up across the state line, as Alan mentioned, into Claremont and Mason as well. So again, we've been watching. This is all east of Falmouth. Falmouth, you're on the back side of this. The worst of it has pushed to your east, so you're in the clear at this point. Up and down 27, Highway 27, I think you're okay there. A little bit more to the south. I wanted to see if it stayed clear along 27 or not. But that's the, remember, this is our main show. Once this line pushes through, then things are going to get a little quieter once that moves through. But Brooksville is still coming in. Augusta is still coming in. You have the potential for 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Possible tornado there as well, where we've been seeing this persistent rotation over the last couple of hours or so. Down towards Mount Olivet, you're probably getting some of the stronger wind gusts at this point. But the rotation did not look too impressive there. Let's widen it out a little bit more here, Alan, and let's check back in on that other area we were watching as well. Yeah, there it is. Let's see. Let's go over to velocity again. Looks like
it looks still there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's back that up just a little bit and kind of put it in motion. Yeah, it is a little bit. Seems like it's not as tight as it was before. That's good. We'll take what we can get at this point, but the potential's still there. We do have this area of concern there. So that's moving to the east quickly along this line. It's been a nasty line. I mean, remember, up and down this line, you're almost guaranteed 60, 70 mile per hour winds with the potential for rotation as well. Hail has really not been a big issue for us for the most part today, and it's been highly localized. Same story with the flooding. It's been very localized as well. Only the areas that get a couple of storms back-to-back moving over, you can end up with some flooding concerns there. So East Union, got a few minutes. Moorfield, 10:07. Bethel, 10:10. Shearburn, 10:14. Pebble, 10:17 is the time we're looking for there. So again, that's this particular part of the storm we've been watching. It's been trying to rotate a little bit. We have not gotten a tornado warning out of this one, but we've had that tag of tornado possible with the severe thunderstorm warning so far. So let's back it out again, Alan. Let's just kind of let everybody get an idea of what we're looking at here on the map. Again, northern Kentucky, you're almost in the clear. You're not really seeing much severe there, except for the very far southeast part of your county where we have that tornado warning in place. That's going to move into Ohio here shortly, and then you'll notice south of there, the strong line of storms still continues. So it looks like they've trimmed the southern edge of this off. That's a good sign. We haven't really seen much of that. So
yeah, you can kind of see the outflow boundary here going through Mount Vernon. So that's going to be a leading edge of some gusty winds, maybe a shelf cloud with that. But when that gets far enough away from the storms, it kind of chokes off the storms because it's the cooler air being rushed ahead of it. It doesn't have that moist feed and warmth to feed off itself.
Which is great. And I think that's why we're seeing that warning has been canceled anywhere south of there, so it's not nearly as intense. Now, we're not seeing that as much here. It starts around Mount Sterling where you see the outflow outrunning it, but right here we're still seeing the stronger storm. And, of course, the northern edge of this is where we've seen the most rotation so far, and that's why we do still have a tornado warning from Maysville right along the state line there. Includes Bracken and Brown counties, and then over into Ohio as well. So that is our only area that we have a tornado warning for at this time. That's around the Brooksville area, and this has been a persistently rotating storm over the last couple of hours or so. So soon, this particular cell is going to move out of the state, so that's a good thing. We'll take that. We haven't had any kind of new damage reports with any of the recent storms. I know we had the strong ones earlier when they were moving through the Louisville metro when there was a tornado, but I haven't seen, we're probably not going to get many reports now that we're after dark and these are moving through a lot of locations.
Yes, nothing as of the last hour or so around Lexington or northern Kentucky.
Okay.
No reports from damage, just around the Louisville area, really.
Okay. Appreciate that, Alan. And so right now we're looking at, that's the zoomed in part, near that tornado warning. Again, this has a history of rotation, not necessarily showing it at all. In all locations. You can kind of back it up and see it. That was the area near Brooksville where we had been seeing it. Alan, you want to cover that for just a second?
Sure. So what we're seeing with that is that rotation that's still continuing over that region with that tornado warning in effect for Bracken, also Brown counties until 10:30. So another 28 minutes to go with this, but eventually it's going to move into Ohio. But still, around Brooksville, you want to be in your safe place right now. We're tracking that over top of you. Again, we'll put a track on it just to give you a time frame on this and where it's heading and what time it may impact you. So Bridgeville right now, again, Germantown at 10:06, Fernleaf at 10:10, and eventually crossing the line at about 10:15. Maysville, maybe around 10:20, we'll see these strong winds 50 to 70 miles per hour. Again, these have really held up over the past several hours. They entered western Kentucky at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. And here we are at 10, and they're moving into our region in far eastern Kentucky. These things have booked it eastbound at about 50 to 70 miles per hour. And they really have the momentum to bring down some strong winds in the upper parts of the atmosphere down to the surface. And that's when you get the trees coming down, the power lines coming down, and numerous damage reports that we've had off to our west. So you definitely want to take this seriously if you're watching in Maysville, Augusta. You want to be in your safe place. We're seeing the heavy rain moving in for you. Not a lot of lightning with this. You're not going to hear a lot of thunder, but you will likely hear the strong winds picking up right when that rain starts to pick up. Again, we travel southbound. We'll watch that other little kink that we had with that one cell. And it looks like it has weakened a little bit. Not seeing as much as far as that goes with that little kink in there. But Carlisle, we're seeing the heavy rain. Again, not a lot of lightning. Sharpsburg, it's moving in right now with strong gusty winds for you. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect with winds maybe up to 70 miles per hour. Winchester, you're seeing the back edge of it. I think the severe threat is over for you, but you're still dealing with torrential rain where you see the reds there on your screen. That is some very, very heavy rainfall, some localized ponding of water, maybe some flash flooding very quickly coming down there just east of Winchester. And then we travel southbound. Again, these storms not as severe. The severe thunderstorm warnings have expired. So Richmond, you're just seeing some moderate to heavy rain, but the severe threat off to your north and east. So Carlisle, Sharpsburg, Flemingsburg, you're next up in line for strong gusty winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour. So again, we still have this tornado warning that's in effect until 10:30 for Bracken and Brown counties. So let's take a look at that velocity again, see if we can still see some of that rotation. And there you go, just south of Brooksville, where you do see the reds, the greens coming together near Germantown. You need to be in that safe place, that lowest level of your home right now. If you have a basement, perfect. If you don't, get in that interior structure, a bathroom, a closet, protect your head. Make sure you get in that safe place right now, because these have some history of bringing tornadoes down around the Louisville metro and possibly in southwestern Kentucky as well. So again, let's put a track on this and where it's going to be heading over the next few minutes. And just a few minutes here, 4 minutes to go in Minerva, and then Historia around 10:13. This is going to be moving in your place. Also Maysville, you want to take shelter as well with these strong winds moving along this system. As we go northbound towards Covington, you're done with the severe weather. We're just seeing the heavy rain right now that's going to possibly lead to some localized flash flooding, but you can go to sleep soundly with that severe threat over for you in northern Kentucky. We're still seeing another few minutes to go with this tornado warning in far northeastern Kentucky. And then as we head east of the Lexington metro, Mount Sterling, again, strong winds, 50 to possibly up to 70 miles per hour. Let's look at this severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect for Bath, Estill, Fleming, Montgomery, and Powell counties until 10:30 with, I don't think hail is the big issue, but strong gusty winds about 60 miles per hour. And there's that tag, tornado possible, because at any time we can see these spinning up very quickly and dropping down a brief tornado. And you can kind of see that kink there just to the south of Mount Sterling, that little kink there west of Jeffersonville. So if we look at the velocity, not seeing so much in terms of any rotation there. We go northbound. Again, as we go into this tornado warning, you see the greens and the reds coming together, and that's where you usually see a little tornado trying to spin up there with that tornado warning in effect. That's why that's in effect right there. So again, you want to take shelter in these locations until 10:30. But elsewhere, I think it's primarily a gusty wind event as these storms are trying to weaken thanks to the setting sun. They don't have the energy anymore, but we still have that severe thunderstorm warning around Mount Sterling, Sharpsburg, Stanton until 10:30 with the potential of a brief tornado. And you go southbound, it's mainly just some heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds, Wes.
All right, appreciate that, Alan. So yes, we have seen we've seen a long night. Looks like it is winding down, as he mentioned. The farther south you get, these have weakened significantly. That's great news. Still a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings here with the strong winds. We have the one last area where we're seeing the rotation. It keeps extending east. Pretty soon that's going to be across the river, and we're going to be done with it altogether. So again, getting a little closer on these, Alan. Again, you can just see kind of the last of what we're looking at here, which you've been kind of analyzing over the last few minutes or so. Crossing the river here shortly. So good riddance, right? We're tired of dealing with these storms. I'm sure you're tired of worrying about them moving through. This is going to be the last. This is the one for Bracken and Brown moving across the river here shortly, and that's where we've seen a good chunk of our rotation with this latest round of storms coming in within this line. So that's our area of main concern that we've been watching. You can see the new one that is extending here where the last one has lifted on out. They've extended the new warning at this point. Between Brooksville and Germantown, you can see that's where that transition takes place. Over to the new warning, again, Minerva, probably in the next 2-3 minutes, and then Historia, 10:17 is the time on that one as it does start to cross the river. So we've got just a little bit of time left on this one before it does move on out of here. There's the current time right there. This technically goes till 10:30, but I suspect that second part of that warning will be for areas east of the river there. Otherwise, down to Mount Olivet, east of there, we're still looking at severe thunderstorm warnings. Still going to move into Flemingsburg, down towards, you can see Sharpsburg. There's Carlisle right there. There's Mount Sterling. So we're still looking at those areas getting maybe some very gusty winds. That's the area we were watching for some potential rotation. I think Alan looked into that a little bit a second ago as well. It's not as impressive as it was earlier. That's just south of Mount Sterling. And then you can see up and down this line, we're just seeing a lot of gusty winds at this point. They've been extremely powerful. Nothing that stands out there of major concern. That's good news. Continues to just be a severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Still a big deal, obviously, if that's moving over your area, but we don't want to see the rotation. That's what we're happy to not see. Bath, Estill, and Fleming, Montgomery, Powell counties all included within this warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. We're still keeping that tornado possible tag as we have been seeing the rotation, but we're seeing less of it. That's important. Alan pointed out we're past sunset by a while now here, a couple of hours past sunset, and so we're really losing our energy. There may still be wind energy, but we're losing our heat as this continues to move through. And of course, the areas that are seeing the rain, once it pushes through, you're pretty much done. Things get a lot quieter after that. Let's widen it out a little bit, Alan, once again to show everybody the full perspective here. And remember, I want to remind you that once this initial line has moved through, you may hear some heavy rain still. You may get a rumble or two of thunder, but this is the main show with the severe weather. Once that pushes through your area, you are in the clear. You can rest peacefully for the rest of the night, not have to worry about waking the kids up again or anything like that. And that includes pretty much anywhere from Lexington to Richmond up to Covington, west, anywhere west of I-75 for the most part, the exception the southern part, but it looks like things have really improved down there a lot as well. So I think we're in a much better place now. We just need to get this part of the system to continue to move away from our area. Still have to keep an eye on Moorhead over towards Ashland over the next hour or so as this line pushes east into those areas. Maysville, you're still right on the edge of that tornado warning. Flemingsburg, you're about to get some of the stronger wind gusts with this line. It looks like it's bulging out a little bit north of Flemingsburg where the winds may be a little stronger there compared to surrounding locations along that line. That is looking like a possibility there. So this area we're probably seeing some pretty strong winds between Maysville and Flemingsburg and the eastern part of that warning right there where that's bulging out a little bit more for us. Once again, the real strong winds are there pushing to the east. Let's go in a little closer to that one, Alan, just to see if any other towns pop up there.
You say here?
South of Maysville, actually. So yeah, right around there, around Mays Lick. That was the area where that's bulging out. Looks like that is east of Mays Lick at this point. And there's the new updated scan. So yeah, right along there, that'll hit Orangeburg as well. Cottageville, Plumville, all probably seeing some of the stronger winds there. I'm thinking 60 probably will do it with these. It's possible we hit 65, 70 with the gusts with that particular part of that storm. We can back it back out now at this point. That's one of many warnings we have along this line. Still have the tornado warnings to the north. I suspect they're going to drop that back edge of this here any time now, probably just letting it expire at 10:15 is my guess. This one goes a little longer as that will take this line across, at least this part of the line with the rotation across the river. We'll have to watch it as it will be close to the river there still, though. There's that area where we're seeing the gusty winds there north of Flemingsburg. And again, stretching all the way south, we're seeing that strong line as well. So still plenty of wind out there, that's for sure. Hail has not been much of an issue for us, probably won't be for the rest of the night. That is not our concern. Our concern will be the strong winds, maybe some flooding in a few locations, very localized flash flooding issues as well, if you tend to see that and you hear it raining a lot outside of your home, that's a concern. Mount Sterling, you've seen the heavier rain and the stronger winds pushing to your east around Howard's Mill, Lower Spencer. That's the edge of the warning right here. We'll see if that gets extended east of there. which would include Olympia, Hope, Salt Lake. You're not under the warning yet. This is the ones for Bath, Estill, Fleming, Montgomery, and Powell counties. 60-mile-per-hour winds, still the tag tornado possible. So you keep seeing that tag, and that's because of the history of these storms. Until we can move this line through, you may continue to see just that with this particular line. So again, we're looking at a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings, mainly stretching from Maysville to the south. This is our most significant right now, which is in the process of working its way across the river, moving out of our state. So that's, again, good riddance. Unfortunately, people downstream still have to deal with it as it pushes east of our area, but I think most of us will be happy to get the rotating part of the storm out of here. And then we'll just be left with some gusty winds from the rest of this line. So I want to remind you, if you're on the back side of this, Cynthiana, back towards Lexington, anywhere like that, you've already seen the strong storms move through, and so you're going to start to see things quiet down. Your severe threat is going away. Still seeing some real strong winds south of Maysville right there, where you see that line bulging out. That's where you'll get your stronger wind gusts. And again, this is right there where we're looking, east of Highway 11 there. And that'll bump into this next warning area here. Alan's putting a track on it. Flemingsburg 1015, Beachburg 1020, Heron Hill 1028, Charters 1032, Stout looking at 1037 on that arrival of the stronger winds associated with the front edge of that line. Remember, once it moves through your area, it'll come down pretty good. You'll get the strong winds, you'll get the heavy rain, maybe some small hail, a little thunder and lightning possibly within some of these areas as well. And then things will start to quiet down a little bit for us. So again, looking at the stronger winds with this, where we've seen, is there an area of concern you're looking at there, Alan?
I was just seeing the latest scan. Just doesn't look very impressive at this point.
Right.
No big rotation signatures with this, but still gusty winds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in this, again, because of its history, I think is a lot of the reason they're probably going to let this one ride for a little longer, because it has been rotating off and on for over an hour now. It's been a pretty persistent storm, so they're going to let this one ride on out as it continues to push off to the east. I believe this warning goes till 10:30, correct? The back edge one expired
yes.
at 10:15. They're keeping this one going 10:30. But remember, the Kentucky part of this will not last until 10:30. I don't see 15 minutes left in this one. But south of it, we're still seeing the very gusty winds. We've seen that potential for some broad rotation within this, but nothing that really stands out as being immediately concerning with this. But still, either way, tornado warning in place does include Brown County. Goes into crosses the river here shortly. So
it looks like they did cancel it for the Kentucky side.
Okay. So that'll drop off here shortly. So that's what we kind of expected. As we widen this back out, we want to remind you that as this storm is going away, that's the last of the rotating part of this storm. Is there still the possibility? Yeah, yes, I think it's still possible. But at this point, we're going down to just severe thunderstorm warnings. You've seen the crawls at the bottom of your screen. That's going to put us in the clear. Once that occurs, you're going to still just see the crawls for these strong wind gusts. And I think these will continue to weaken over the next couple of hours. So we really have seen the worst of this system. It doesn't mean we can't get one area of this line. It is a large area that it covers to where we start to see some rotation. But if you just look at the wide perspective here, notice the lack of the reds. It's really starting to wind down at this point. And so that is certainly some good news there. They're dropping the tornado warning on the Kentucky side of this. It will continue in Ohio. But again, we're a Kentucky station, so we're sticking with the Kentucky coverage here. The severe thunderstorm warning south of there continues. East of this line is the only area of concern moving forward. The concern gets lower the deeper into the night we get because we lose our energy from the heating of the day that we had earlier. So again, from Lexington to around London to the west, your severe threat has passed. Covington, your severe threat has passed as well. And then you'll notice well back to the west, still some rain back towards I-65 in the Louisville metro, but nothing intense. So the intense storms, they'll continue to move off to the east. We'll have to watch more ahead over to Ashland, Jackson into the north. Perhaps we could see a couple of isolated strong storms, and we'll watch what develops out here as well. But for now, it looks like we're just going to have a handful of strong storms moving to the east. The tornado warning has been dropped for the Kentucky side of this. It will continue in Ohio up until about 10:30. But we're going to go ahead and send you back to programming here in all markets, again, as this tornado has cleared for Kentucky. If we do see something spin back up, of course, we will come back in and let you know.